Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy and ascension forecast for Sunday, November 10th to Saturday, November 16th. So last week, of course, we were edging our way into November. We, of course, had Mars be the main spotlight on the stage as he left the Cancer energy and moved into Leo energy. And of course, that took place on the 3rd. So we're definitely all up in the heart space. However, a little bit of restless, a little bit of agitation, a little bit of ants in our pants because Mars is in opposition with Pluto. So we're kind of sitting our ass on the bench. We're not able to play the game as of yet. We have to sit on the bench. We have to get passionate about this game, and we have to figure out where it is that certain actions need to be taken in order for us to advance into a path, into a direction that, of course, is heart-led. Now, we will, over the course of this week, see a lot of opportunity to take action and make moves, especially as we break out of that opposition with Pluto. But again, just want to remind you that Mars will be retrograding in this Leo energy here very shortly, especially when we move into December. And so we have to be paying special attention to what is going on right now. These are the topics and themes that we're going to have to be revisiting. So again, I'm going to recommend, if you haven't already, to download your November energy guide specifically for your zodiac sign so that you can capture what is going on for you, specifically with Mars. Because again, we're going to be starting 2025 in the same kind of situations and circumstances and scenarios that right now we're looking to take action and make moves upon. There's going to be some rearranging needed, some restructuring needed, and it is definitely recommended that you really, really capture what is going on for you, especially when we bust into the new year and we have to reference back to this particular point in the calendar. It's great to actually have those particular notes. So the other thing that we have going on this past week hasn't really happened yet. If you're with me here Friday evening in the live chat, I want to thank you so much. But what I'm talking about is this first quarter moon popping off in Aquarius energy here November 9th. And of course, the first quarter moon is the very first lunar phase that we come to out of that new moon energy that we just had a week ago. And the first quarter moon is always a time of crisis, of pressure, of intensity. Why? Because we have to make a choice. We have to make a decision. We have to agree on a plan, on a strategy, on a course of action that needs to be taken in order to actually advance us in a new path, in a new direction. And of course, where the Aquarius energy is concerned, this is us downloading a huge amount of information from the higher realms of intelligence. This is a brand new level of awareness, a brand new level of consciousness coming online. We are acting as the observer to see where it is that there are options and opportunities, thinking outside of the box that we haven't even considered as of yet. And so, as I come to you here Friday evening, we are building towards this first quarter moon, which is always a struggle in the headspace, specifically because this Aquarius energy rules over the higher mind. So we definitely still have that waiting to pop off. But in this next coming of weeks, we are definitely going to have a lot of energy shifts taking place as well, starting with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money. She is moving out of the Sagittarius energy that she's been in for the last couple of weeks, and she will be moving into Capricorn energy here on the 11th. So again, if you haven't listened to November's energy forecast, I'm going to recommend you do that. And again, download your guide if you haven't done that either. But just know that with Venus and Sag energy, we're all hopes, wishes, and dreams. We're all imagination and fantasy. Yeah, we're open to experiment, to explore different options and opportunities for us to recreate, restructure, redesign our physical realm, especially where kind of creating a realm in reality that looks good and feels good, that does promote happiness and joy and pleasure and creativity and fun. Well, we're realizing where it is that we haven't been experiencing a lot of that in our day-to-day lives. And with the Sag energy that Venus has been in, we're definitely looking for deeper meaning in our lives as well. Now, although we've been kind of gallivanting around fun, fancy, free, kind of bouncing around to different ideas, different alternatives that we could definitely experiment and explore with, when Venus moves into Capricorn energy, It's all business. We are getting very serious. We are getting tunnel vision on what needs to be done. Yes, typically speaking, Capricorn energy does have us focused on the future, what our heart wants for the future, who the heart wants for the future, what we want to be doing as far as activities go to build safety and security, especially where our finances are concerned. But because we're in an ending, a closure of a chapter, of a huge karmic chapter, there are multiple chapters ending and closing, if we want to be specific. A lot of this futuristic vision, goal, and dream that we are tunnel vision focused on trying to come up, conjure up, plan, and strategize around comes from the void that is very apparent, very alive and well in our heart space, in our physical form, especially when we are removing the old. So again, just a reminder, the old version of self once had a belief system, once believed that they were deserving and worthy of said things that we set out, that we manifested for the most part. But the old realm, that old reality was built by the old version of self. The new version of self does not resonate with a lot of the people, places, and things that the old version of self did. And so because we are in a closure chapter, a karmic chapter of serious depth, serious intensity here, a lot of the future goals, visions, and dreams that we're conjuring up are based off of realizing what we no longer want, what we no longer want to experience, what we no longer want to pour into, what we no longer want to have any connection to. And because Venus is all about her love and money, that is the major impact. Our heart is changing. Our worth is changing. Our values are changing. Our priorities are changing. And because of that, our physical realms have to change as well. So Venus moving into this Capricorn energy, definitely going to ground us, make us a little bit more present, a little bit more aligned with our heart space, because we have some work to do. Again, it is a cardinal earth sign, which means that the cardinal energy has already been presented with information and details to kind of encourage that a change and adjustment and improvement needs to be made. And we're able to boss up and to initiate whatever needs to be initiated upon in order for that change to actually take place. It's going to be a very interesting dynamic for us to kind of acclimate to that particular energy, because on the 15th, just a couple of days later, we have two major events taking place. The first one is that Saturn, the Lord of Karma, he's coming out of his retrograde and he is going direct. Now, let me just remind you, Saturn moved into this Pisces energy a little bit ago, last year-ish. We went back and forth for a bit, but we've been in this Pisces energy for the majority of time now. We have essentially been doing a clean sweep. This is a spiritual cleansing. This is a physical cleansing. This is a mental health and emotional cleansing. Saturn, who rules over roles and responsibilities, systems, structures, willpower, and discipline, while retrograde, has been teaching us some valuable lessons on where it is that we've been kind of choosing to stay in dysfunctional situations and circumstances. We should have been, with Saturn's retrograde, illuminated to where it is that we got to boss up. We got to do better. We got to be better. We have to have more willpower, more discipline, more determination than ever to not only remove the aspects out of our physical realms that are no longer in alignment with who it is that we are and what it is that we want for our future selves, but there's a restructuring, a prioritizing of what it is that our future goals, visions actually are, and how we actually need to take action to execute them. So, of course, the boundaries have been dissolving, especially in our physical form. Saturn in this Pisces energy also very, very responsible for the clean sweep of souls returning to the other realm. Also very responsible for wrapping up a 30-year chapter, showing us where it is that the false gurus, the false spiritualists need to fall in order for everyone to start acting a little bit more authentically. This is going to be a major shift, and whatever it is that we can conjure up in our inner realm where goals and visions and dreams and willpower and discipline are concerned, we're going to be able to quickly manifest it and bring it into physical form, because just hours after Saturn goes direct, we have the full moon popping off in Taurus energy. So that is a very interesting dynamic because, of course, we love Pisces and Taurus energy working together because, again, whatever it is that we can dream and imagine and fantasize about in the Pisces energy, we can bring it into form through the Taurus energy. But the full moon, again, is about endings, closures, releasing, removing the aspects of the physical realm. Taurus energy rules over the physical realm. There is going to be a full illumination, again, the full moon, the fullest illumination that we're ever getting in the night sky. We're going to be seeing things a little bit differently. We always see things differently in the night compared to the day. And so we are going to have the tenacity, the determination, the willpower, the authority, because Saturn is going direct, in order to do all of the things that we've been basically turning a blind eye towards, that we've been making excuses of. Again, the Taurus energy being a fixed earth sign, we resist change at all costs, even though we're sitting around praying for better, really kind of spending a lot of time in imaginary land, in fantasy land, kind of conjuring up a new goal, a new vision, a new dream. When it comes to actually doing what needs to be done in order to build towards that goal, vision, and dream, we put it off. We are professional procrastinators at our finest. And so this full moon in Taurus is really going to illuminate where it is that we can't hold on to the old anymore, that we can't make excuses or justify why it is that we're allowing old relationships, old routines, old structures, old self-esteem issues, old ways of going about making money, old ways of providing safety and security. We can't allow them to continue to stand anymore. Again, we are in the final days of Pluto being in this Capricorn energy. This is a clean sweep. This is the final call for the wrecking ball to come in and totally destroy and demolish the physical realm and the aspects that that old version of self had built and created, that the new version of self is now trapped and imprisoned in. We need to free ourselves. We need to liberate ourselves. And this full moon in Taurus energy is going to allow us to see very clearly who and what needs to stay and needs to go. So this is also going to be the last full week of Scorpio season. We have reached the halfway point. We're past the 15 degrees in the Scorpio energy, which means that we're moving out of the death, ending, and closure part. We're moving into the rebuilding, the restructuring, the rebirthing, the resurrection, the renewal part, the empowerment part, where we essentially are getting prepared to bust out of this damn cocoon. We're going to talk about that in just a second. So the last full week of Scorpio season also overlaps with the technical last full week of Pluto in this Capricorn energy. Super, super interesting. I'll say it again, that Pluto is waiting for the final days, the final hours of Scorpio season in which he rules over to hand over that power to Aquarius energy. Again, we are closing the door on the chapter that we have been all struggling through since 2008. And once on November 19th, when Pluto shifts into that Aquarius energy, we're there, we're in it until 2044. So a lot of the things that are quote unquote falling apart right now, going to be very intense in this last chapter of not only Scorpio season, but in this last chapter of Pluto being in this Capricorn energy. It's going to be very intense. It's going to be a little bit damaging, a little bit destructive, because again, that 29th critical crisis karmic degree is also a death degree. It's also a perfection degree. It's also a mastery degree. So whatever it is that needs to be removed out of the collective stage, out of our own individual lives prior to Pluto moving into Aquarius energy, it is going to be a clean sweep. It is going to happen in the blink of an eye. And again, we are in a testing phase. We're going to talk about that once I get ranting and raving here in just a second. And the tests are not going to be fun. So that's what we have to look forward to in this upcoming week of energetic shifts. So before I start jumping into my rants and raves, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about before I jump into that. And first of all, I just want to start off by saying thank you. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for liking, for sharing, for commenting, for putting the beautiful emojis in the comment section below, making it a very entertaining, beautiful place to be scrolling through. I want to thank those of you that have continued to give me the love and support, not only in encouraging words, but also in financial generosity. I thank you all so much. Cannot thank you enough for that. Especially because, and here's my hot topic that I want to talk about, YouTube. So, as you know, I usually take a couple of minutes to bitch about YouTube. I am not going to be doing that any longer. I have realized that I am giving this YouTube algorithm, these numbers, this frustration, too much of my energy, too much of my brain power. And quite honestly, I see it for the distraction of the dark programming in which it is trying to keep me kind of consumed with the frustration, with the disappointment, with the energy of constantly trying to do better and be better, when honestly, if I was being real with myself, I feel like I'm doing all that I can. I'm going to continue to persevere. I'm going to ignore the numbers and just know that my information is reaching the people that need it. Of course, there is a huge group of people that I'm sure would benefit greatly from having the information in front of them, the community that we are building here to help support them through these wackadoodle times. However, I know better. Okay, so y'all always hear me saying like where it is that we know better, but we're not doing better. Well, I know better. I know that this doesn't deserve my energy. I know that I cannot be in a state of disappointment and a state of frustration, because that is just feeding the powers that thrive off of our lower energy or lower emotions. I know that it's distracting me from doing other good things that could be very helpful, very supportive to this community. And so I know better. Why am I not doing better? Well, as of today, I am doing better. This is the last time that we're going to bitch about YouTube. Nothing's going to change. They are constantly going to be out to, kind of silence the truthers, silence anyone that is creating a positive shift, creating calmness, creating love and unity. We know this. We know the narrative. So because we know this, it's not going away. And I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm just saying that to be matter of fact. So am I going to spend the rest of my days, the rest of these live chats bitching about YouTube when realistically nothing we can do is going to change it? I am changing my tune. I want to thank those of you that were in on this little experiment that I did over this past week. I know in last week's session, I talked about, hey, let's everyone unsubscribe and then subscribe again. And I thought, because other people had really good success with that particular experiment, that it was going to work for me. And of course, it did not. It backfired in my face. I lost even more views. I lost even more people. My numbers took a hit. My algorithm took a hit. I should have known better. And so I want to thank those of you that have really kind of, linked arms with me, that have, jumped through the hoops that I have requested that you jump through to see if we could kind of, I'm going to say, bring this channel back to life in a particular way. I want to thank you so much for being a part of that, for being a part of the change. But guess what? It did not work. And so, again, another reason I am choosing to not focus my time, my energy on trying to get the algorithm to love me, to accept me. I have been the black sheep of life since I come out the womb. This is, I have been the person who things, Murphy's Law, things just never seem to go the right way for me. I am not complaining. I know the game. I know the matrix. I have spent a long time figuring out the patterns. What works for other people, not necessarily going to work for me. Where the general collective seems to have success in, one area of life, I try to conform, I try to be, and it backfires in my face. I know this. So here's the thing. Now that I know this, I'm just gonna shut up. Okay, I'm going to continue to make my videos. I'm going to continue to speak my truth. I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing for God knows how many years right now. I am going to persevere, even if it's only one person listening to me. At the end of the day, if I can impact, improve, influence in a positive way on one person's life, I am doing what I need to be doing. So this is officially me. Take a mental snapshot of this. This is officially me stopping the energy that I am giving this freaking system that is set out to frustrate and disappoint and infuriate the people that, of course, are trying to help the collective, are trying to help make major changes and transformations, and of course are getting absolutely nowhere because the powers that be would rather feed off of our anger and animosity than anything else. So I am officially, this is my last bitch session, I am officially not talking about YouTube any freaking longer. I want to thank those of you that are still here, that continue to give me the support that I need here in this channel as they try to silence me. I'm going to continue to thank you, but I'm going to leave out the part of why I need that particular like, sharing, commenting, emoji section, you know, that whole thing. I want to thank those of you that have jumped over to Patreon, even as free members. At least over there, you're getting notifications. At least over there, you're getting the content that you actually subscribe to. You know, I know it's not perfect, but compared to where it is that we're at, definitely a great alternative. So I want to thank you so much for jumping over there. Also want to thank those of you that have decided to boss up and do the work. My goodness, I have had so many more people actually download the November energy guide this month in comparison to previous months, which tells me that people are doing the work. They're doing the shadow work. This is Scorpio season. This is the time, the energy, the season to be doing it. And I am so proud of y'all for investing in yourself. So thank you so much for that. And of course, with a full moon coming at us towards the end of next week, there will be a full moon guide available for you towards the end of the week to help you navigate that full moon in Taurus. So that is all that I really want to kind of talk about on my homework list. Let's jump into some rants and raves. So my first rant and rave that I'm going to talk about, something that I kind of already talked about on my Patreon, but I'm going to talk about it here. And I know it's probably going to backfire in my face, but that's okay. I'm big, I'm bold, I'm brave. I can take it. I want to talk about this election. Okay. So here's the thing. I was both proud / disappointed at the same time. Proud at the fact that we, regardless of your understanding of the elections, of the politics, of the 3D, we created a timeline shift. Now, why do I say that? Well, first of all, if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you would know that I kind of went balls to the walls and said a lot of the things that I wasn't supposed to say back in 2017 / 2018-ish. And I had huge downloads, huge insights at that particular point in time, a couple of markers that we needed to kind of see over the course of the next, well, at that particular time, like 7 to 10 years in order to be on a semi-favorable timeline. And if you've been with me for any amount of time, you would know that I've had a lot of ups and downs. We didn't reach some of those pivotal markers, and some of the markers that were indicative of a lower timeline, we definitely hit out of the ballpark, which of course was super disappointing. But I was waiting for one particular marker, and I've been waiting for it since 2017, and we got that marker with this election. Now, before, and I said this on my Patreon, before you go and make an assumption that I give a shit about politics, before you go and associate me with any kind of political party, before you even assume that I enjoy or am not enjoying the outcome of this election, before any of that, I want you to know that elections do not matter. This isn't about politics. This isn't red versus blue. This isn't Democrats versus Republicans. What this is about humanity, okay, aligning with hope and faith for a better future. I don't care if you care about politics, okay? To me, it is a very divisive construct of this human experience. To me, I was hella entertained by how many, okay, this is probably going to stem off in a different rant, so bear with me. I cannot believe it. I should be able to believe it because I talked about it before Saturn went into Pisces. when Saturn went into Pisces, I had said, there was going to be a huge cleansing of the earth, both with water events, which, we've seen lots of flooding. We've seen lots of hurricanes. We've seen lots of storms. I also talked about the cleansing, the purification of people being kind of washed away, their soul and their spirit deciding to return home, thus huge waves of death. And I think that if we were to look back, to when Saturn first moved into this Pisces energy, I think it's fair to say that there's been an overabundance of death. Okay. I also said that the fake spiritual gurus were going to fall. And the most entertaining thing that I got out of watching humanity react and respond to the elections was watching how many fake ass spiritual gurus actually took sides. Okay. If you are super, and I hate to say it this way, because again, this is, further divisive type of, construct of language here. I'm not saying what I want to say is if you're super enlightened, if you know what's going on, if you understand the 3D construct, if you understand the divisive constructs of humanity, if you understand the timelines concept, if you understand consciousness, if you understand futuristic events that we need to be in alignment with in order to course correct where it is that humanity's taken this little, Earth planet, or should I say where this Earth planet has taken humanity. If you know all about that, then you should not be entrenched in politics or religion or, societal constructs of any kind, because you realize that it's very divisive. And you realize that this is about unification and this is about harmonization and us about getting all on the same page instead of continuing to play the games that the Matrix founders have created for us, and politics would be right up on the top of that list. So one of the most entertaining things that I saw over the course of this week is how many quote unquote spiritual gurus, enlightened beings, not only chose political sides, but had the audacity to either rub their victory or rub their defeat in their community's faces. Okay. So when I say to you that this past week revealed people's true colors, you really need to understand that it's more than just the physicality of it. It is the energy behind the person. Now, as you know, I do not like to talk about these things because they are divisive and they are triggering and activating people of a lower awareness, a lower consciousness that want to come out and fight and defend and protect their belief system, their values, without the, let's call it, elevated awareness of what all of this is about. And so I hate to do that. I absolutely hate to do that. However, I feel like we need to talk about this because this isn't about who won and it isn't about who lost. Because if you're talking about winning and losing, you're talking about a division, a divisive construct. There is no winning and losing. There is no good and bad. Okay. There is just is. And so what I would say to you is that the marker that I have been waiting for was surrounding this election. It had nothing to do with the people that were up for election. It had nothing to do with who won or who didn't. What it had to do with is the level of consciousness that humanity was able to reach under the construct of this quote unquote election. If you follow the Schumann Resonance, and again, if you want to jump over to my Patreon, I post the Schumann Resonance when it's worth posting. It captured a beautiful, beautiful stream of energy, of consciousness, of awareness that took place around the same time as the world, not even just US, the world was waiting for the election results. Now, one thing that unified us in that waiting period was that we all had a hope, a wish, a dream for a better future. Now, of course, the vision of what everybody thinks would be a better future for them is debatable, okay? Everybody has a different vision. Everybody has a different view. Everybody has different values. It's a beautiful thing. We are supposed to be realizing and appreciating our differences, okay? Not allowing them to further divide us. We are supposed to be unifying humanity, like universe. We live in a universe Uni means one, verse means, let's call it a song, a verse of a song. We all need to be on the same frequency. We all need to be on the same vibration in order to essentially create new earth. Now, you're going to say, well, geez, new earth ain't coming anytime soon with the amount of people at each other's throats, especially over this election series. And you know what? You may be right, but here's the thing. Who got elected? I'm not saying he's good or bad, because again, good and bad do not exist in my perception of what's going on here in the 3D. What I am going to say, and what I said over on my Patreon, is that the person who got elected is the person that is the selected domino that needs to be strategically put into place in order for the next events of this next chapter to fall accordingly. Does he have conscious awareness of what he is doing for the overall raising vibration and conscious of humanity? Some people would debate and say yes, that he does. I know there are plenty of spiritual people out there that says that, you know, he's a white hat and he's a Palladian and he's this and he's that. And you know what? That's imaginary land. Okay, let's get real about it. He's a human, just like all of us. He has a mission. He has a purpose, just like all of us. He is not well liked by a group of people, and he is very well liked by another group of people, just like us, okay? We all have a conscious mission that we're here to do in the 3D realm, the 3D meat suit. We also have an unconscious role and responsibility that we are playing in the fabric, the interconnectedness, the intertwining, if you will, of events that need to happen. We are co-creating our reality. When I say to you that what happened under this election was the indicator that I have been waiting, the marker that I have been waiting for since 2017. It is not, oh, I've been waiting for Trump to win. Nope, we're not talking about that. And if you think that's what I'm talking about, then again, you're operating from a level of awareness that is going to be triggered and activated by everything I say. I'm going to invite you to rise up, okay? This is the marker that we needed in order to have the people put in the right place on the chessboard in order to have the events that we need to happen in order to catalyze the change, the revolution, the rebellion in our favor. This is the only path, this is the only timeline that allows for course correction. Okay, if you know what I'm talking about, you know I don't have to explain it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, doesn't matter. Okay, I am here to express to you that I have been waiting since 2017 for 3 markers. I have 2 out of the 3. What is going to take place from now until, I'm going to say, March/April of 2025 is going to be the make or break of that, let's call it, pivot in the timeline in which we're currently on. We are on the best timeline that we could be on at this particular juncture, with situations and circumstances that, again, have happened, are happening, and need to happen, that can only happen with this particular domino in its strategic place. So this has nothing to do with the people for me. It has nothing to do with blue versus red or Democrat versus Republican. This has nothing to do with any of those 3D constructs. This has everything to do with the marker in consciousness that we all receive by having hope, faith, and dreams for a better future. And we are on the right path to course correct. When I say course correction, it is not in terms of how many years somebody gets to be president, okay? It has nothing to do with that. We're talking about a course correction in humanity's path that we've already tried a couple of times and we're very unsuccessful in breaking out of. This is our last chance. This is our last hurrah to course correct. And as far as I'm concerned, we are on the right path, the right timeline, with the right, let's call them pawns, in the right places on the chessboard in order for the futuristic events that I know that need to happen to actually happen under this particular timeline and under this particular, let's call it, rules of this game. And so I, for one, am very freaking happy. I'm also very happy that we are able to see people's true colors, especially when it comes to these fake ass spiritual gurus who have done nothing but confuse and invoke spiritual psychosis in the community in which they are supposed to be helping. And I'm not saying any names, so don't come at me. I'm not saying any names, but there are some popular spiritual people out there that I was shocked even talked about their preference of who it is that they wanted to win versus who it is that they didn't want to win. Was shocked, some of them crying after the election was actually called, that their particular person was not nominated, was not elected. Okay, crying. And that there were some people that were literally boasting and gloating that their person, if you will, won. That to me is disgusting. Okay. So if you are out scrolling, on all your platforms and you come across these spiritual people that have done nothing but create further division, not only in their communities, but in the energy force that they should be building. Because again, when you're activated, when you're awakened, you have a certain territory, a certain parameter that you have to hold the light for. That's why all of us are spread out far and wide over the earth plane, why many of us will never meet each other in person, because we have a territory of darkness that we need to bring light to. And the fact that these quote unquote spiritual gurus took their platform back to the 3D when they should be elevating the awareness, the consciousness, the love, the hope, the wishes, the understanding of what all of this actually is, they chose not to do that. And they chose to revert. They jumped off the bandwagon. They chose to revert. They put themselves back in the 3D construct. And to me, that is absolutely disgraceful, disgusting, despicable. And I am super, super glad that they showed their true colors, because I hope that the communities, the people that choose to kind of align their energies with them, realize what they've done, retract their energy, get a wake-up call, anchor within themselves, start trusting themselves, start listening to their own inner guidance, and totally wipe these fake gurus off of their reality plate. Okay, I'm spicy. Okay, I'm a little bit spicy here. Forgive me. I thought that was hella entertaining. Yes, it was disgusting and disappointing. Also hella entertaining because, not that I'm trying to sit here and say, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen in the future, but I have a pretty good damn idea. I died. They downloaded me with a bunch of information. They sent me back in order to teach it, in order to try and, again, get people in alignment for the events to come. And up until, this past week, I was very disappointed that we were like 3 timelines behind. I am very hopeful now that we have the ability to keep this chugga choo-choo train going in the right direction, and that we have the ability to continue to alter this particular timeline and put it in our favor. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Again, I have people message me all the time, especially, over the last couple of weeks, like, oh, you should rip out Trump's chart, and you should compare the charts with Kamala, and you should, do this. And like, we want to hear your perspective on it. We want to know who you think's going to win. No, I'm sorry. I have a whole inbox, a whole DM of people requesting for me to do that stuff. That's called entertainment. I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to educate. Okay, I'm not down for entertainment at all. This is very serious. This is my life passion. I was brought back from the depths of darkness, from the depths of death and hell, essentially, in order to light the way. And I am not going to waste my time being clickbait. I'm not going to waste my time in creating entertainment type of content for just shits and giggles. We're not down with it, not doing it. So if you want to continue to send requests for that type of content my way, I'm sorry, but you're probably not going to get an answer, and you're definitely going to be disappointed in me, because I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to educate. So with all of that being said, I hope we all took a little bit of education from what it is that we just watched and witnessed. Okay, we're literally writing history as it's going. Like, people are going to come back to this particular juncture. Our future humanity going to look back on this particular time as something to really analyze. And, when it comes to the freedom of Mother Earth and the, let's call it, initiation of New Earth, I feel like this is going to be the time frame where we're going to say, yep, that's when the shift happened. That's when it happened. That's when it happened. I feel it. So I just wanted to share that with you. And again, if you're kind of, interested in some of those concepts, then you're exactly where it is that you need to be. And if you're confused or triggered or activated by some of those concepts, again, dig into the shadow work. You got a lot more work to do. Okay, so I'm gonna pivot now. I have other rants and raves to go on. We're halfway through the Scorpio season, as I previously mentioned. So anytime that we get like 15 degrees into a transit, into a sign, that's when we are, kind of pivoting away from the first chapter of what a transit is supposed to be about, which is about like, taking stock, taking inventory, being illuminated to the problems, to the issues, to the circumstances that you no longer want to pour into. And then we meet that halfway point, 15 degrees. We're kind of at a holding pattern. And then as we move towards the 20 degrees and the latter degrees of a sign, that's when things pick up. That's when, the change and the transformation actually materializes. And so we are on the cusp, we're on the precipice of seeing the change, the transformation actually take place. I've been talking about, specifically being in Scorpio season, about how we're going through the whole caterpillar to the butterfly situation. And I wanted to encourage people, especially under that new moon in Scorpio, and even last week, we were a pile of goo. So again, hate to repeat myself, but I'm going to do it. A caterpillar makes a cocoon, gets in the cocoon, and totally alchemizes, transfigures, transforms itself into a pile of goo, eliminating the structural, components of being a caterpillar. And at the end of the day, it's just a cocoon sack filled with, let's call it, magical goo. Okay. We're at the halfway point where we're actually starting to see the structure of a butterfly take form out of this goo. Now we know that it's going to be a butterfly, but right now it ain't cute, right? We don't have wings. We can't fly. We're still stuck in the darkness, right? But we are essentially more of a butterfly than we are a caterpillar. Thus, the old version of self no longer really in power. The new version of self alive and well, just not put into practice yet. And so, over the course of this next week, we are going to definitely realize that, yeah, we're pretty damn butterfly. And then B, we're going to be fully formed to the point where we feel strong enough and confident enough to start busting out of this damn cocoon. Now, let me just remind you, when a butterfly busts out a cocoon, first of all, you cannot help a butterfly to break out of its cocoon. The part of the butterfly struggling to break out of the cocoon is what strengthens the butterfly to be a butterfly. If you were to see a cocoon, a butterfly out in the natural form, trying to bust out of the cocoon, and you interfered and helped that butterfly break out of that cocoon, that butterfly is going to die. Okay. So we've been through an intense pressurized system at this particular point in time in order to alchemize our own damn selves into a pile of goo. We are building a new form, building a new structure, but we're not quite at the point where we're able to break out of the cocoon yet. And we're going to be at the point where we're going to want to break out of the cocoon and we start kind of yelling to people to help us. Okay. When I say to you, you need to keep your mouth shut. This is a solo adventure. You need to do this by your own damn self. You need to do it by yourself. If you call out for help and somebody comes in to help you break out of the cocoon, you are not going to be the butterfly. Okay. You're going to die. You're not even going to be able to fly. You're going to die. Like failure, not even launching, just failure. Okay. The pressurized system has to happen from our inner realm, right? Like, you pressurize a piece of coal, it turns into a diamond. Well, the world pressurizes us, and our inner realm of our soul and our spirit is what gets pressurized. And when that gets pressurized, we alchemize, we transform, we change in our soul, in our spirit, in our consciousness, in our awareness, in our vibration, in our frequency. That's where the change happens first and foremost. Now, in Scorpio fashion, we, at this point, are the pile of ash. We shed our skin, we burnt ourselves up, we burnt the old world down. There was a pile of ash. but there's little tiny sparks of the embers still in that pile of ash. And just as the butterfly is going to kick its way out of the cocoon, that pile of ash is going to materialize in the phoenix that rises up from that pile of ash to a new level of consciousness and awareness and empowerment. So where we are birthing the phoenix, we are also the butterfly trying to break out of this cocoon. We are not there yet. And when the butterfly actually successfully gets out of the cocoon on its own, does it fly right away? No. First of all, it's like, holy shit, I was once a caterpillar. No, I'm a butterfly. Look at me. I got wings. Flutter, flutter, right? We're not using the wings, but we're fluttering our wings. We are taking time to get to know ourselves again. It is a very timely process of watching the butterfly emerge out of the cocoon, watching him kind of flex his wings for a little bit before he ever takes off. And that is very much us. And as we go through the course of events, the energy shifts of this next week, especially with Saturn going direct hours before the full moon reaches its potency in that Taurus energy, we are going to be triggering the destruction of the cocoon under that particular energy. And if you look at, and again, I'm going to encourage you, I am repeating myself, I do apologize, self-promotion is a bitch, but if you do listen to the November energy forecast, you would know that the Saturn goes direct hours before that full moon in Taurus, triggers the releasing, the resolving, the closure, the finality of the old world that we absolutely have to crumble. That happens on the 15th. We have 4 days before Pluto shifts out of that Capricorn energy and gives all of the power to Aquarius energy. Okay, so what happens 2 days after that? Well, we move into Sagittarius season. And that is when the butterfly takes flight. That is when the phoenix rises up. That is when the butterfly and the phoenix are up in the sky, looking down, having a greater, grander perspective of why we had to be shoved in that cocoon, why we had to be pressurized from the exterior realm in order to make the inner realm changes. We understand from that particular perspective where it is that the remnants of the old world, there's still some debris. There's still a cleanup on aisle 5 that's needed, but we have a greater, grander vision of what needs to be done. We also have a clearer definition of where it is that we need to go from here. And so, with Pluto and this Aquarius energy, first of all, huge levels of awareness and consciousness coming online at that particular juncture. When I say that we are in a testing phase, again, the butterfly is being tested. Again, the phoenix being tested. In our physical realms, we are being tested. There are triggers and activations that are setting us off for good reason. Now, let me also just say, I have had a lot of people reach out to me and tell me that they've been in some horrible instances and horrible circumstances that obviously, in my eyes anyway, is the test that they need to be passing. And many people are so frustrated, so angered, so enraged by some of the situations and circumstances that they've been put in, that they're actually failing the test. And I know this is sounding hard because, again, we're humans, we have emotion. That's why we come here to experience the power of emotions and remind ourselves that we have to have power and control over our thoughts and emotions in order to create the realm and reality that we want to be living in. Because again, this particular simulation is just merely a projection of our inner realm to the external. And so the thing about it is that you're going to say, well, it's super hard, when there's people dying to not be sad. And it is super hard to be in a lawsuit that you should be winning, but justice isn't being served. And it's super hard to stay positive. And it's super hard to be in conflict with, your loved ones and not be angered and not be frustrated. I get it, but those are 3D problems and you need to be doing better than 3D. If you find yourself being tested by the external world in any kind of remnants, and it's putting you in an angered, enraged, frustrated situation, then guess what? You're failing the test. Why? Because the whole point of this freaking matrix simulation is to create situations of survival, of struggle, to keep humans in the lower vibrations of the emotions that the dark force energies feed upon. So the minute that you find yourself in anger or frustration or in defeat or in disappointment or whatever the case may be, and it's a lower vibration and frequency, you are feeding the system. You are feeding the beast. You are feeding the monster. You are doing exactly what they wanted to happen. So what do we need to do? Well, first of all, we need to understand that nothing is happening to us. Everything is happening for us. Even in the worst situations, even in the most dire situations, even in the most frustrating situations, our higher selves designed whatever we're going through in order for us to do better and be better, which means that there is, again, this absolute requirement to act as the observer. When somebody is coming at you with hate, with frustration, with rage, and they are looking for a reaction out of you, and all you do is take a deep breath and smile and wish love and peace upon them. Do you know how infuriating that is to the person that's looking for you to lose your shit so that they can accuse you of being the monster that they need you to be in order to free themselves of the accountability and responsibility of their own actions? So we got to do better here. We have to realize that we're being tested and challenged in these situations that are, supposed to create frustration and anger and rage and disappointment and defeat. They're supposed to create all that because that is the food that the higher ups need in order to stay in power, in order to survive. So if you find yourself being tested in all kinds of situations and circumstances that don't feel good, you need to rise up. You need to do better. You need to be better. You need to allow yourself to act as the observer and say, higher self, why would you have constructed and designed such a situation and a circumstance for me to prove that I can walk the walk and talk the talk? Why would you do that? Because there's something to learn. And if you are not put in situations to practice what it is that you've learned, if you are not put in situations to be triggered and activated so that you can either choose to override that particular situation in responsive reactive behavior out of your egoic programming with happiness, laughter, joy, and peace when they want to invoke struggle and frustration and anger and irritation in you, when you are able to override the system, you have won. You have passed the test. If you find yourself in situations that, yes, 100% are supposed to trigger and activate the kind of emotions that most people are falling victim to, then guess what? You're doing exactly what they need you to do. You're not winning. You're not bossing up. You're not passing the test. And so we're at a very pivotal point right now, because again, don't know if y'all noticed, but the calendar is going pretty quick here. The year of 8 is almost coming to an end. That 8 energy is boss up energy. You got to walk the walk and talk the talk and have the power and control over your mental plane, over your emotions in order to actually have your creator abilities activated. And although, yes, I am working on the 2025 energy forecast and all kinds of different resources to help you through next year, because it is a year of 9, a year of endings, a year of closure, a year of wrapping things up in order for us to have a clean space to actually build something new in 2026, in the year of 1, we have a shitstorm of a year coming at us. Hate to break it to you. And so the last part of this year is going to be testing you to see if you have what it takes to override the egoic reactive programming, which wants you to stay in those lower vibrations and frequencies and emotions in order to feed the beast that, again, this whole matrix was constructed in order to feed, right? Like, I don't know. To me, it seems pretty simple. That's why I said at the beginning, about the whole YouTube thing, like, I know better. Why am I not doing better? Well, guess what? And here's me walking the walk and talking the talk. I'm doing better, okay? I know the game that they're trying to play. I know the emotion that they want out of me. I'm not going to give it to them. I'm moving on. I'm bossing up. I'm taking power, control, and authority back over my own mind, over my own emotions, and I would welcome you to do the same. We need to be operating with integrity, with authenticity, with love. In every situation, as hard as that may be, it is hard. That's why they call it a practice. You got to put it in practice. And the only way to put things in practice is if you're put in a situation, in a circumstance, to be able to exercise and integrate what it is that you've already learned, what it is that you already know. So don't run away from situations that are triggering and activating. Lean the F into them. That is how you pass the test. That's how you have the ability to actually move on and move up in life. So lean in instead of running away. Okay, let's talk about some actual physical symptoms here because I'm running out of time. Okay, so we have a lot of changes going on. First, I want to talk about the eyes. So we've reached this halfway point in Scorpio season where, last week there were definitely a lot of eye issues. And thank you for those of you that were paying attention to right versus left. Thank you for those of you open-minded enough to understand what those eye issues were actually trying to say to you. This week, the eyes are going to continue to be dry and gritty, but also watery and stingy, okay? We're in the middle of the ocean. We are in a water season. We've been in the ocean now for a very long time. And although you would think that water would make us feel hydrated, we're actually, we're a little bit puffy. We're taking on a little bit of water weight, but we're dried out. We're like raisins at this point, and it's drying out our skin, and it's drying out our scalp. And it's just like we have like rashes kind of emerging because we're dried out and itchy. Our eyes, again, taking a big hit here this week, especially with, what we just watched take place over this past week. Now we have to kind of revisualize what this means for us independently, what it means for us collectively. Now it opens other doors. Now it closes some doors. So there's some restructuring to the vision, to the clarity of our future goals, path, vision, and dreams. There's a reevaluation going on, and that's okay, but it's definitely going to impact our eyes. So yes, the face and the skin is rather dry. I want to talk about itchy palms for a second. Now, I know there's an old, folks' tale, if you will, old mythology, old wives' tale, whatever it is that you want to call it, that itchy palms mean money's coming. Well, wouldn't that be lovely, right? I think we could all do with a little bit of extra money. But what I actually see happening is that the itchiness in our palms is actually a palm chakra activation. That is the creator energies, the creator abilities. And it's almost as if we're getting a little bit of power, a little bit of charge to those palms, but we haven't really kind of cleared the meridians, cleared the channels, if you will, for that amount of electricity to be able to free flow through our bodies, out our palm chakras, and actually impact what we're able to actually put hands on, design, create, rearrange, restructure. There is going to be just weird itchiness sensation that you're just not going to scratch. You're not going to be able to find it. It's just going to be irritating as all F. And it is likely going to have a lot to do with the palm chakras. Now, again, you want to pay attention. Is it left hand or right hand? Is it actually on the palm or is it in the back of the palm? Is it maybe just on one finger? Is it under a fingernail? All of these sensations are indicative on where it is that you're having a hard time putting hands on what actually needs to be rearranged, restructured. Now, you may actually have this itchiness on the bottom of your feet. Again, soul chakras, okay? SOLE. That is where we connect with Mother Earth. And, we just had a major shift in consciousness, a major shift in our timeline because of it. And so, again, there is this realignment that is needed between Mother Earth, Gaia, and us. We're all kind of fluctuating in this new realm of energy at different rates. And so this next part of Scorpio season is going to be about alignment. And in that alignment, especially under the full moon in Taurus energy, and again, that follows Saturn going direct, we are going to really see what is blocking the alignment and what needs to be removed in order for that alignment to happen. So I really suspect that we are going to really get down to the nitty gritty around the 15th. And that is when, we stop avoiding the to-do list. And that is when we stop turning a blind eye to, what we've been procrastinating on. And I truly believe that that's when we're going to be like, okay, clean up in aisle 5 first, and then we're going to go to clean up in aisle 8, and then we're going to do all the cleanups, and then we're going to clean house, and then we have a clean slate to start building towards something new. Again, using, the we need to move out of this house type of thing, and you have all of these piles, like I'm keeping this, and I'm donating this, and this is going to garbage. Okay, so let's actually do something with those filled up boxes. The ones that we're keeping, let's actually get them off of the premise and get them into an area that they can be integrated into the new world, into the new life. If it is garbage, let's get rid of it, right? You don't put the garbage bag out to the end of the road on garbage day and then continue to go back and open it up and say, yep, that's garbage. We're still waiting for it to be picked up. So why are we continuously going back through the garbage that we know we've outgrown? Why are we going through the garbage that we've already tried to unpack, that we've already tried to remove from the area? Why are we checking on the garbage to see if it's still there? Let's just get rid of it. And as for those donation boxes, if you're actually going to donate the stuff that you have allocated in your life to donate, don't drive around with it in your trunk for 3 months, okay? Drive it to where it needs to be, okay? Point A to point B. Let's get rid of it. Let's do something about it. Let's take positive action. Again, Saturn going direct. Let's have more willpower, discipline, and determination to actually do things, to clear away the old so that we can focus on the new. So cleanup crew will be activated around that full moon. Then we're going to clear the space out, and then the phoenix is going to rise and the butterfly is going to be freed from the cocoon. And we're going to spend the last week, or the last couple of days at least, of Scorpio season rising up, being empowered, getting our shit together, realizing where the change and the transformation needs to take place the most. So when it comes to our headspace, there's going to be a little bit of a duh moment. Why do I say that? Well, because Mercury already entered into his pre-retrograde shadow period. So each day that we get closer to the 25th, our mental plane is getting slower. Our inability to see the forest past the trees looking to a future path is going to become more and more confusing, less and less clear. The ability to look back and reflect upon where it is that we need to breathe new life into old things, where it is that we need to rearrange, restructure our plans, our visions for the future, that is going to become major focus. So because the headspace is kind of on lock here, we are going to be feeling a little bit spacey, a little bit slow, if you will. And I'll give you this analogy. It's as if some days, some moments, we're in a snow globe, somebody picks up that snow globe very, very intensely, shakes it for all it's worth, and then sets us back down. And this is us trying to acclimate and adjust to watching all of the snowflakes fall, right? We have to see where the cards are falling before we can actually play them. And so it's going to be a little bit disorienting, because just when we gain a little bit of footing, just when we gain a little bit of clarity, somebody picks up that snow globe again and gives us a hella good shake. So I feel like, because Venus, when she shifts into this Capricorn energy, we're going to be a lot more stable in our emotions. We're going to be a lot more firm on our boundaries. We're going to be a lot more serious with what needs to be done. We're going to be a little bit more focused on what it is that we actually want. There's going to be a stabilization, a certainty in our heart space. We're not going to be questioning, flip-flopping back and forth as much as we've been doing over the past God knows how long. It's going to be set in stone, so to speak, meaning our desires, our wants, our needs are going to become super clear. And a lot of that clarity is coming out of realizing what it is that we no longer want, what we no longer want to experience, what we no longer want to be associated to. The oils in our bodies are changing once again. Hair is also changing. And a reason for that. So our hair is our, let's call it antenna, to pick up on the subtle energies of the subtle world of energy that, again, is laid over and cast over this physical realm, this physical reality. And we just went through a major timeline shift and major jump in consciousness, which means that the vibration, the frequency, the electrical currents not only are changing in our physical form, but are also changing out in the ether. And so our hair, our antenna, needs to kind of be readjusted, so to speak. Now, this could manifest in dryness in your hair, dandruff. It could be itchy scalp, even without dandruff. It could be hot spots on your head. It could be hair thinning. It could be hair color changing. It could be a whole slew of things affecting your hair, because the antenna needs to be adjusted. We're picking up on different channels, different frequencies now, and we need to kind of readjust that particular connection. And that adjustment is going to have major impact on the actual hair follicle. Okay. The oils in our body are changing, which means that if you're normally oily hair, oily complexion, you're going to be on the dry side. And if you're usually on the dry side, you're probably going to be a little bit more oily. Now, This is like, again, when you take your vehicle in for an oil change, again, and this is Scorpio season, this is death, endings, and closures in order for a rebirth, a resurrection, a true transformation to take place. We are in the midst of an oil change. The fluids, the lubricants, the energy in our physical form is changing, and that is having a major impact on our bodily function. There's going to be more earwax. There's going to be more discharge coming out of all of the orifices, as beautiful as that may be. And so, we have to pay attention to our physical body changes in order to understand where the energy changes are actually taking place. So again, we're coming into a very pivotal point in the calendar in this Scorpio chapter. In a lot of these older planets that have been retrograde, a lot of them are going to start coming direct now. And with all of these direct planets, with all of these shifting of the planets, there's going to be a new landscape that is going to be offered to us. And we are going to, first of all, feel that landscape shift in our dreamscape, which technically has already happened. And side note, if you find yourself a little bit more exhausted, a little bit more fatigued, and sleeping a lot more now than ever before, it's because the upgrades going on in your physical form and in your soul self need you to be still, need you to be in an altered state of consciousness in order for the upgrades, for the adjustments, for the alterations in your physical vehicle, your physical form to actually take place. So please do not fight it. This is a time of rest and repair and recovery and realignment. And we are essentially doing all of those things now that we have reached that 15 degrees in that Scorpio energy. So the dreamscape is going to be very indicative of where it is that the energy is changing in your physical form, and your physical manifestations of these ascension symptoms are going to be the key indicator of what is changing within you, and therefore preparing you for the changes that are going to be taking place in your external realm over the next couple of weeks. So guys, that is all the information that I have for you. Went a little bit over my normal time frame. Hopefully that's okay with everybody. I just wanted to fit in what it is that I needed to channel for this week. I wanted everybody to be in alignment, to be aware of what is happening, because when you understand that these things are happening because of the energy shifts, it takes away the fear that many people have over these physical symptoms. And of course, we want to get out of fear because that is feeding the beast that we are trying to destroy. We need to keep a happy, hopeful, positive mood and attitude, understanding again that nothing is happening to us. Everything is happening for us. So I thank you so much for tuning in. I thank you so much for your love, for your support. I thank you for showing up for me, but mostly I thank you for showing up for your own damn self. I hope you have a great week. I send you nothing but love, and we'll talk to you soon.